Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marilyn Michelle, and this is One Honest Life. So, in this episode today, I decided I'm going to talk about my house buying process, how it happened, what led me to it, and everything. And I'm just being honest about the whole situation because I just feel like I can share this my experience, and maybe to help someone else to get to a point to where they decide they want to do it or not. So, just to get into the conversation, basically, being honest, I was not planning on buying a house. That is my honest truth. But it got to a point where it just made sense, right? And that's kind of like what I kind of base my life on, is trying to make things make sense. And at that time, it did. I was living in a duplex, and I had been there for years, and stuff happened, and I was just like, why am I keep giving money to someone else, and that's kind of what happened. I even got to a point where I was helping the landlord do a lot of things, and I was like, I think I'll be okay, take care of myself and figuring it out. So I just went on to try it. I went on and decided to look it up, do a little bit of research and see which direction I wanted to go in to get a property and where to get the property location. At the time I was in Tennessee, and I was looking at the prices over there, and I was like, I don't think I want to pay this much to live over here. So and I'm from Arkansas, so I just decided to say, I'm just gonna go ahead and see if I can find a property over there, right? And I've always kind of wanted, if I could picture myself living somewhere and owning a house, it was going to be in the country, a rural area, because I really don't like neighbors like that. That's one thing I did know. I did not like neighbors. I am not a neighbors person. And if you want to consider neighbors, this is closer to the type of neighbor I want who's got 4 legs, right? So that's what I kind of figured I would be okay with. So basically the process started. I don't know. I just went on a whim. I just said, you know what, I'm gonna go call a loan company, see what happens. Call the first company. They started the process, and it was going okay. Everything was going good. They did a soft credit hit to see about my credit score, because you have to basically see what you're eligible for as far as how much you can get, because most real estate agents and places that you want to view, they're not going to actually take you serious if you don't have I forgot what it's called, but it's like a pre-approval to show that how much you can afford. Basically, it makes them think you're serious, about the buying process. Because if you just call them and say, "Hey, I just want to go view a house," and they're gonna more than likely ask you that question: "Do you have a pre-approval letter? Can we see it?" Da da da. So that's what happened. I got the pre-approval letter from the company, and it's like different depending on what loan you had. So they had the option of, I think it was the FHA loan, the USDA loan, which is also the rural development loan, the conventional loan, I believe, and that was maybe one other, I'm not sure, but I know it's a few of them, and they're gonna pretty much give you, each number is gonna be different, because you're gonna, like with the FHA, I think it's 3 to 5% down, and then the conventional is 20%. And then they have the rural, or the USDA loan, which is the one I decided to take, which is no down payment whatsoever. But that's the lowest amount you're going to get as far as how much they'll give you overall for the house amount. And so they gave me each number, how much it was. And it just kind of goes by. The best way to explain it is, example, my max out was $200,000. That's how much I maxed out at, and that was for the conventional loan. So as I was not putting anything down, it got lower and lower. So when I got to the rural development loan, also aka the USDA loan, it was 100. 40 some thousand, I believe. And so I just, at that point, I started looking at some different houses and companies, real estate agents and everything. And where I live, I'm not gonna lie to you, it wasn't worth me having a real estate agent, honestly, because the one I actually did call, she's not helpful at all. She was showing me houses that I was just like, this is trash. Like, why would I ever even live here? Or would I ever consider living here? So I just started doing my own research, especially in a rural area. You're not gonna really get that many good real estate agents. There's like one here, but it was actually an accident how I got her, because I had already found the house there. Because I went through like 5 or 6 houses, and it was so crazy because I had already saw this house specifically, but I kept passing by it because I kept just like there, because it didn't have pictures of the inside of the house. Like I only could see the outside of the house, and I was like, they didn't really have that many views, and I'm just like, to me that was a bad sign. I was like, and it was kind of expensive in my opinion for what I saw, and I kept looking, and finally I went to go see like 3 houses with the actual real estate agent. The first lady I had, I didn't like any of those houses, and it was way, way overpriced, like way overpriced for what you were getting. So I end up finally telling her, you know what, I'm good. I just figured it out on my own. So I end up going back to this house here, and I just called the agent, and it happened to be the one I was just talking about. She was just like, yeah, actually that's my son's house, and I could be both of you guys as agents. I was like, okay, this kind of will work out then. So I went and looked at the house, got here, looked at the house, and it actually surprised me. It did. It very much surprised me. But I guess I should go back just a little bit though. So I actually once I saw the house, I start right there. I saw the house. I went and I decided to put in an instant, like right when I got done talking to her, I said, hey, is there anybody else looking at the house? Is there any other people, consider? She's like, oh no, it was just one other lady came over. That was it. She never came back and never heard from her again. I was like, this might be a good thing for me. It might work out for me. So I'm not gonna lie, I lowballed them. Like at the beginning, like I did. I lowballed like by a lot. I wanted a certain number. And so the original price of the house was $100,000. And I was like, I'm not paying that for this house, right? And I knew that off top, I was not gonna pay the $100,000 because it had been there for a while, sitting here some months, and I was like, not that long, but maybe about 3-4 months. And I was just like, I'm gonna offer them $70,000, and I did. She, when I said it to her, it was so funny because the look she gave me was hilarious. It was hilarious, and I knew they was gonna come back with a different offer. So this is what I said. I said 70,000 plus you guys pay the closing costs, right? Because I had been watching YouTube videos and doing my own research to see what was the best way to go with it, and that's kind of what I did. So I knew they were gonna call me back. So they gave me. It took about maybe one day. The next morning, she comes back and she said, "Hey, he said he'll do it for 80,000 and he'll pay the closing costs." That's kind of what I was. That's where I was kind of wanting to go. I wanted that price range. And so I said, okay, everything was good. It started going through. And then this is where the hiccup kind of came in at. So the company I originally went with, they were like, oh, the only thing we having issues with now, my loan officer, I was talking to Ashley at the time. She was like, the issue we're having right now is we don't have no type of longevity showing you driving that far distance. Because I'm a truck driver. So, but I kind of was local, so it was like there would be a distance drive, like 40 some minutes. And she was like, "Oh, we don't have no record of you doing that." And I'm looking like, I'm a driver, right? This is what I do I literally drive for a living. But okay, so they ended up telling me they couldn't approve me unless I could find some kind of way to give proof of the longevity or something like that. And I'm just like, obviously, I can't do that other than what I just told you. So I kind of had gave up. I said, you know what, don't worry about it. Maybe I wasn't meant to get the house and all that. So I am messaging the woman back and telling her, the agent, they was selling the house. Like, hey, I mean, I need to get the house because this, and this. And she texted me back. She's like, well, maybe you should try this a more local company. Because the company I was going for at first was a big company. And she said, maybe you should try somebody more local. I said, okay. At first I was like, no, I'm okay. And then I waited about a week or so and decided, you know what, I'm gonna just go ahead and try it. So I went on and tried it. And I can't remember the name of the company. It kind of doesn't really matter because they end up switching later. I'll tell you that part later on though. But I went through the company, called them. They started running everything because everything kind of came back already fast because I had all my information already anyway. So it kind of came back fast. I ended up paying for a home inspection for this house. It was like $400 for it. And he came back, he gave me the review saying everything's pretty good. He gave me like 3 or 4 things. He told me that maybe I could talk to the owner about fixing into the contract and all that stuff. So I sent it back and they was like, okay, yeah, we'll do that for you. And before you start the process again. So I did that. And I got to the next part of it, which was, like I said, waiting on the next company to prove everything. My loan officer comes back. She's like, okay, everything came back good. We're used to people driving. As a matter of fact, she's like, I drive an hour from my job to get to work. And I was like, okay, so that was a win. It was a win for me. And so she's like, yeah, you should be fine. So it took about, this whole process probably was like almost a month and a half. Honestly, so it really wasn't that long, but it seemed like it was eternity. Okay. It seemed like it was an eternity at the time. And it was so stressful. I was frustrated. They asked for so much stuff, like things you never think they gonna find, they find, right? Because like my debt to income ratio was not that bad, honestly. Because I had a low overhead anyway. But they were finding stuff everywhere. Like I didn't even know how they find afterpay. Afterpay? How do you find afterpay? They found afterpay. Okay. When I say whatever debt you have, they call it the underwriter. They're gonna find it. They're gonna call you and ask you for proof of it. They're gonna ask you for receipts. They're gonna ask you for anything to get proof of what you have on debt because they trying to find a way, right? And they're gonna ask for your savings account information to see if you can pay for this and afford that. And because they basically want you to make, it's kind of like what they do with rent, 3 or 4 times it. And they also want you to have savings in the account too to make sure you're able to, be able to afford to pay it, the mortgage. And that's another thing. When I decided to purchase my house in the first place, I went for a place that I wanted a certain mortgage number, right? I wasn't really going for the overall number. It's going to eventually get to the overall number, but the whole point for me was the amount that I was going to pay monthly because that was more important to me. And I really didn't want to go like $600 to $700 because you got to also go by the interest of that time because interest fluctuates. Okay, so you can't just 1 second say, hey, it's going to be what it's going. No, interest. Well, depending on when you get because it can also change during the process. So they may initially estimate a certain number, and then it may change, and it may be a little bit higher, a little lower. Hopefully it's lower. Mine happened to be just a little bit higher, but it wasn't that bad. So it still was in the number I was going for. So that's what I had a set number for, and that's what mattered to me. So basically, after that, I waited a little longer. I had to go also and pay for, I think it's what was the name of it? The appraiser. Yeah, the appraisal. So the appraisal was the most expensive thing. It was like $700-800. I can't remember, but it was expensive, and you have to pay it yourself. Like your company is not gonna more likely pay for you. It's gonna come. They're gonna either add it. You got to pay it pretty much immediately. I had to pay it pretty much immediately. And this lady, a person comes in. They do an appraisal of the house, see if it's worth what you were trying to offer to pay for it. Because they're not gonna pay for the house if the appraiser does not approve it for that number. So this house had already been appraised anyway. So I had already went lower than what it was actually worth the first time. Excuse me. So I didn't really have anything to worry about. It was just a waiting game, And it took about a week. She came back and said, "Hey, we need you to put some stairs on the back of the house. Another railing on the back of the house. And I think it was, what else? I think that was the only thing it really was. It was she couldn't test the water because I live in the country. It's a country house, so it's like it had propane, and they had took the propane tank away, and so she couldn't test the water heater. So the lady had to come back and tell her son that he had to pay for that to bring another propane tank so she could come back and recheck it. So that was mainly the only two things I had to wait for. And so once all that was done, all I had left to do was just get the clearance and then also make sure I had my homeowner's insurance. That was another thing. Making sure I had my homeowner's insurance in play, but it was going to still be added inside of my actual mortgage itself, but I still had to go find the insurance company, get approved, set it up, and have my loan officer put it all together. And I'm not gonna lie, I really did appreciate my loan officer. She was very sweet. She was like, her name was Beverly. She was so nice. As a matter of fact, I went through most of this process, if not all of the process, by myself. I didn't really have help, and that's kind of what was a thing for me too, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was winging it the whole way, just hoping for the best, and it worked out. And thankfully, I had a great loan officer. And by the time we got done with the ending result, she calls me and she said, "Okay, we got everything squared away. I got your number set up, so it's pretty much time for you sign all your paperwork." And that was the thing too. I had talked to a few people about that. Everybody said something different. Pretty much the same thing. They was like, "Oh, it's gonna be a long day. You're gonna have signing paperwork when you go up there to the place." And I was getting stressed out about that. And it was crazy because that's not what happened. That is not what happened to me. From my experience, that is not what happened. I got an email saying, "You are approved. We just need you to sign all your paperwork, read through it." I did all of that. It was probably like 20 pages. I just kept signing the same thing. When on electronic, you can just sign the same signature over and over, just click, 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 click. And I was doing that. And I was still reading it though. I was just, because I'm pretty good at scanning things and just getting the gist of it. But I also had already kind of thoroughly read it from the first contract I initially signed. And so I got a little excited though, because it was getting more real at that point. And I was getting a bit anxious about it too though. And so when I finally did sign, I had to go to this place. It was an abstract building or something they call it. And you go up there, you sign everything. It was kind of funny because it was like a good funny though, because I got there, my loan officer called me. She said, "Hey, I'm here." I'm like, "You're where?" She's just like, "I just wanted to meet you because I felt so, proud that you did this by yourself. And I have a daughter that's around your same age, and that's not even her goals right now, And so she said, "I was just so proud of you." So she literally baked me a little cake, and she had gave me a card and said, and she was congratulating me. And even my real estate agent, that was both the person that I bought the house from, as well as my real estate agent, she came up there, she talked, she was congratulating me as well. And the loan officer, she stayed the entire time. I was like, that was kind of exciting because nobody else went with me. I went by myself. And so I kind of thought I wasn't going to have anybody there, but that was nice of her to be there and show me some support, because I didn't think that was gonna happen. Like, my mom did come later on. I go pick her up, but she came to the house later on, but she didn't actually go to the signing and everything. So the whole process kind of like was just me by myself, and I don't know. It was not. It was just nice, a nice feeling to know that somebody that I didn't even know came to see, and appreciate and was proud of me, because I've always had that experience a lot of times too. Most of the time when I do find people proud of me, it's a stranger. It's somebody that I don't even know of. I know of, and I just met pretty much, and they be just so proud to hear things about me. And that's kind of what helps me to keep going too. It's like knowing that people do care, but it's usually not who the people you expect to care. From my experience anyway. I think it's like that saying, they say familiarity breeds contempt. And I've always experienced that, but it never stopped me, because I do know that there are people out there that are proud, that is proud of me and see me from a distance. And I wouldn't say that all my family is like that or friends, but it's like they don't say it. I would say that most times. They don't really tell me. I've been just recently getting a few people. I guess I'm just speaking out more, and they'll sometimes say something to me about it. But overall, it's always kind of just been me by myself, and people that I don't know, strangers, just say they proud of me, and it feels nice. It does. It feels really nice. But yeah, that was my experience basically, buying a house, the house buying process. Now, after the fact, like it took a while to kick in that I bought the house, and as a homeowner, it kind of, I don't know, can't explain it. I have my days when I'm like, should I did this like anybody else? But overall, I don't regret it because I get to do what I want to do. Because I love art. I love doing things on my own and trying new stuff. Now, if I want to wake up and say, hey, I want to paint this, or hey, I want to tear this down, or knock a hole in this, I can. And I don't have anybody say anything about it. It's even with the animals as well, because since I've been here, I got an extra animal, a couple extra animals actually, and I don't have to worry about where somebody saying, hey, you can't have this pet, or you got to pay a deposit, or whatever, or this breed is not, you can't have this breed here. I don't have to have any of those issues. And the amount for what I paid for the house, it was well worth it, because it was basically the same price I was paying for rent for a 1-bedroom. And now I'm in a 3-bedroom house. So, and it's just me, but it's nice though. Like I said, I get to do what I want to do with the house. Like right now, this room is like one of my favorite rooms so far that I have finished. Because that's another thing, I've been trying to finish up rooms, but I work so much now that it's kind of hard, and I'm ready to be able to just finish everything. It's taking time. It's taking more time. That's another thing I have learned. Things take more time than you think. You think you're good. You think it's going to say, oh, it just take a week, a couple days. No. No, it takes longer than that. It usually takes way longer than that. And I have to just try to humble myself and say, okay, and give myself some grace. I've been trying to do that a lot too, is trying to be calm and be thankful about what I do have, what I have accomplished. And even last year definitely made me humble too, because like I said, I got sick last year, and that really humbled me to the point, because I almost thought I was going to lose the house, because it got so bad that I couldn't really work, and I didn't have a backup plan. But that's another thing about having a house. They give you way more leisure. Like you get way more leisure with a house, as far, because they don't want the house back. That's the whole thing. They don't want the house back. They really can't do anything with it. And then auction it off, they don't do that. They're gonna get way price cut for that. So they'll try their best to help you out, and that's what they did. I was so thankful that I had that time, and thankfully I also was responsible enough at the time. I had enough savings, right? I had some savings, and the savings saved me a lot too, because I was able to use that money until I maxed that out. And then I had to go to the point of asking, about, well, they actually came to me. It was crazy. They actually came to me and said, hey, do you want to just see if you want to get put on the back end, or see if we can just redo your whole loan? And they did. And it was crazy, because it helped out a lot. And I was finally able to catch back up. And it was so nice to have that opportunity, because I don't believe I would have ever had the opportunity if that happened to me when I was renting the property. This, I just happened to have a really nice landlord, which I never experienced. I know a guy that happened to, and still to this day he's had issues, and he's still there. And thankfully he had that situation, but I don't think I would have had that situation. So, but I'm so thankful that he does. And so each person, I feel like they get their blessing in their own way, and this was my blessing for me. Because I think everything happens for a reason, and choices you make, just try to make them what's best for you, And that's what I was doing. That's what I did. And I am thankful that I bought this house. I am. And as a single person, I would tell anybody, hey, give it a try. The worst thing I tell anybody you can get is a no, right? But the only time I say you fail is if you didn't try, right? Because you can't say you failed unless, or you can't say you don't. If you never tried it, you can't say, hey, I failed. Because you really, either way it go, you're going to fail anyway, in my opinion. Because if you don't try it, because you still failing. So you might as well just go ahead and try it. Say, and take the no. That won't be their first no, because they might say yeah, right? That's what happened to me. They said yeah. So, and even your credit score doesn't have to be. That's another thing with the USDA loan, or AKA the rural loan, development loan. You don't have to have a good credit score. You can have like a 600. Honestly, I think that's the lowest you can go is a 600, which is pretty low. Like, like I had a higher than that, very high, much higher than that, but that's how easy that one is. But the only thing I would say the catch is with the USDA, excuse me, it has to be a rural area. You cannot use that loan for an area that's in any kind of city. Like they're gonna deny it. You might get an FHA or something, but you're gonna have to either choose conventional or FHA when it comes to cities and stuff like that. So you're gonna have to choose your battles, right? I was okay, definitely okay living in rural because that's what I wanted anyway. But if you're a person that wants something different or you want a city, you're gonna have to just be able to save at least 3 to 5%. That's your best option. And even with that being careful, you gotta pay attention and also know where your limits are and go and see how much you're actually able to afford. And another thing too is I forgot to mention that you have to have at least 2 years in the same industry in order for them to allow the approval. That's the minimum, 2 years. You can't just jump jobs, jump different careers and think they're going to actually approve you for a loan. They're not. That's just the truth. I was thankfully in the same industry for almost like 4.5 years. And so it wasn't an issue for me. I did switch companies, but it was still the same industry. So that's what saved me. And that's why it wasn't an issue. Now, if I would have went from trucking back to the health field, that would have started me over. Right. So when you do it, make sure you're staying in. Just because, like I said, 2 years is nothing. Life goes by so fast. 2 years is nothing. So just stick with it 2 years and go for it, right? And then from there, they're gonna just tell you however much you make in a year. They use going to double, triple it, quadruple it, depending on your back history, your responsibilities, debt to income ratio, your credit score. It's quite a few factors into how much they add onto your basic amount. But the minimum I would probably say is double, more than likely. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it's like at least minimum double of whatever your income is. So yeah. But I would just, like I said, just if you do those simple things and do your own research, it should get you to a point where you could at least try it. So if anybody wants to try that, that's the best way to go. Just be responsible for that 2 years. Because like I said, it's really not that hard to be responsible for 2 years. Because time goes by really quickly, whether it's for the good or for the bad. It goes by. So just give it a try, and I hope this helps someone sharing my experience. If you got any questions, please leave a comment, like, share, subscribe. If you know anybody that needs help and needs a motivation of trying to try to buy their own property or consider it, because even land you can do the same thing. You just have to be in the right area, and you got to compromise when you have to, because there's no perfect place. It's not. If anybody wants to see a tour of the house, I can do that eventually. I just don't want to finish it a little bit. I'm actually working right now on my hallway and in my closet room, and I just got a few things done. Well, yeah, a few things purchased as well as done to where I can finish it up. But yeah, appreciate you if you got to this point in the video, and Once again, my name is Marilyn Michelle, and thank you for watching One Honest Life. You guys have a good evening.